Join the Horror Fan Club with my Patreon. Get early access to new episodes as well as access to a library of bonus content. Your support will help me create more frightful tales. Rain begins to fall from the night sky, prompting me to pull my hood up over my head with one hand. My other hand holds the pair of waterproof digital recording binoculars up to my eyes. The binoculars are fixed on the building across the street, the top floor, the penthouse apartment. Far below, down on the dark, grimy streets, rain falls on bags of trash piled at the curbs, waiting for pickup. It falls on the roofs of cars in the constant stop-and-go traffic. It bounces off umbrellas and awnings. It soaks the hair and the clothes of the unprepared or uninterested. It ruins the cardboard boxes thousands of down-and-out alleyway denizens call home. But it doesn't slow the mechanics of the city. It doesn't relieve the need to eat, to live, and to earn money. The cycle continues. Life goes on much as it has for millennia. Rain or shine or hurricane. Not for the first time, I tell myself I spend too much time alone. These dark thoughts take on a life of their own, swirling around in my head like gray rainwater swirling down sewer drains. Only a break in the clouds will provide me with some respite, but the landscape of my mind seems to be soaked in for now. While the clouds above may move on in an hour or so, the storm in my mind will likely continue to rage. That's just the way it goes, I guess. There's movement through the second window from the left at the penthouse apartment across the way. Focus, I tell myself. Tonight could be the night. The man does the same thing every night. He eats dinner in the dining room, far left window. When he's done with that, he goes to the next window in line and watches television for an hour. Never any longer, never any shorter. When he's done watching television, he gets up to get ready for bed. And so far, every night I've been up here watching him, he has stepped over to the window to look out for a moment or two. When I first started watching, he stayed a long time at the window, sharp eyes scanning from under bushy gray eyebrows. There were times when I thought he saw me, times when his eyes paused on my location before moving on again. But I know better. I'm too good at what I do. He hasn't seen me. As the days passed, his time glancing out the window grew shorter. And now, as I watch him get up from his couch, I will him to skip this part of his nightly ritual. Go to bed, I think. You're tired. It has been a long day of hostile corporate takeovers and business deals and firing people. Go to bed, you old bastard. Although I don't really believe in telepathy, I have a moment to question that lack of belief as the man trudges away from me, down the hallway toward his bedroom on the other side of the apartment. He didn't look out the window. I smile, dark thoughts clearing momentarily as I mentally prepare for what's to come. Tonight's the night. It's not hard to get on top of the man's building. I had it planned out shortly after I took the job over a month ago. There are many ways to get on top of buildings, and I've used them all over the years. Some of them require social engineering. Others require breaking and entering. Sometimes it's as easy as walking up a fire escape. This one required me to get a key for the rear door from one of the maintenance technicians. It took no more than a couple hours of work. I started by finding out which one of the several maintenance techs often went drinking after work. Not hard when everyone posts their lives on social media. From there, it was just a matter of waiting until he was drunk enough and then bumping into him, taking his key ring in the process. Knowing that common practice is to change exterior door locks when a maintenance tech loses their keys, I had the keys copied and then brought the ring back to the bar. I gave the keys to the bartender and told her I'd found them on the floor. Simple as that. After going in through the back door, I went up to the roof access door. It required another key from the key ring. Now that I'm on the roof, I have my rappel line set up and I'm working my way down over the edge. I ease myself down and stop next to a dining room window. Looking through the glass, I can see that the window is locked. It's a double-hung window, which means both panes can open. The top pane can be opened downward and the bottom one upward, but they're both kept in place by a single lock. I'm wearing my backpack on my chest, allowing me to reach in and grab my small battery drill. I've already prepared a special glass-cutting tungsten carbide drill bit. Lining up the drill bit with the lock inside, I start the drill slowly and with gentle pressure. As the tip bites into the window pane, I increase the pressure. I've also brought along a spray bottle of water for cooling the glass and the bit, but since it's raining, I don't have to use it. There's constant water hitting the window, serving to cool the bit, which will prevent cracking. As soon as I feel the drill break through the double pane window, I stop drilling and pull the bit out, returning it to my backpack. Next, I retrieve a skinny but sturdy metal rod about 10 inches in length. The rod is something I developed for this very purpose. It's curved just enough and at just the right angle for me to unlock the window. I stick the tip of the curved rod in through the hole I've just drilled, using it to push the locking hasp. The curvature allows me to unlock the window by pushing the hasp all the way around to the unlocked position. With that done, I return the rod to my backpack and zip it up. Next, it's just a matter of opening the window. I choose the bottom pane, going in quickly, unhooking the climbing rope from my harness, and then shutting the window again. I listen carefully for any movement in the apartment while pulling a small pouch out of my cargo pants pocket. When I hear nothing that concerns me, I open the pouch and retrieve a capped syringe from inside. It's filled with just the right amount of liquid and ready to go. I have a mask on, so I'm not terribly concerned about any interior cameras, but I look for them anyways as I move through the apartment. The place is immaculately clean. The furniture all looks expensive and the air smells as if it has been filtered with the best technology available. At the bedroom door, I pause to listen. The old man's deep breathing sounds from the other side of the door. With one gloved hand, I try to turn the knob, finding that it's locked. This makes me smile. That a simple interior door lock would actually keep someone like me out is laughable. It takes me less than a minute to unlock the door. I don't even have to put the syringe down to do it. When I step into the room, the man's breathing still hasn't changed. I can see him in his massive bed, sleeping peacefully. Let's get this over with and get paid, I think to myself. Padding up to the side of the bed, I remove the cap from the syringe, sticking it in my pocket. I pause for only the briefest of seconds at his bedside before slapping a gloved hand over his mouth. His eyelids shoot open. He's looking up into a black ski mask with 2 holes for the eyes and 1 for the mouth. My eyes are wide and I'm wearing a grimace, so the only thing he can see of my mouth is my clamped teeth. The fear he must be feeling, the pure, unadulterated fear. The adrenaline dumping into his bloodstream, his life flashing before his eyes, the sure certainty that there's nothing he can do, the terrifying knowledge that he's at my mercy and mine alone. Priceless. As his body tenses, I jab the syringe into his neck and press the plunger. The liquid disappears into his body. "Let's have some fun, Mr. Morrison," I say, and then I go to work. I arrive at the office just before noon, yawning as I walk through the door.
"Oh, good,"
Chloe says from her desk.
"I was just about to leave to get lunch."
Chloe is the best assistant I've ever had, and she's not hard to look at either. Although I'll take sheer competence over a pretty face any day. It's not often you find both in one package. Her emerald eyes smile as she looks up at me, upturned lips twitching at the sides. She's wearing a tight white sleeveless sheath dress today with black high heels and a black silk scarf. I once told her she didn't have to dress up to come to work. I usually show up in brown slacks, comfortable leather shoes, and an untucked collared shirt. But she told me she liked to do it. She said it helped with her mindset. As she stands up, I raise a plastic bag in my left hand. "I brought you a French dip from Martino's," I tell her. "Want to eat together?" She smiles.
"Sure, but only if we watch Jeopardy while we eat."
"Okay," I say.
"But you're going down. Again."
"We'll see." As we eat lunch, breakfast for me, we put on an old Jeopardy rerun neither of us have seen. We have a running competition to see who will get the most answers right. I no longer keep count, but I'm pretty sure I'm winning. Chloe's smart though. She's giving me a run for my money. When the sandwiches are sitting in our stomachs, and Alex Trebek is no longer on the television in my office. She asks how the job went.
It was fine,
I tell her, crumpling up my sandwich wrapper and throwing it in the trash can.
It was fine,
Chloe says, mockingly.
That's all you ever say. I want details. Better yet, I want to see the footage.
I always wear several different cameras when I go out on these jobs. The technology is so amazing today that I barely even know I'm wearing them. I always wear one on a strap around my head over the ski mask. Another I have clipped to the collar of my neoprene work suit. The third I wear is attached to my utility belt. Between the three of them, I get good footage of every job, which is important. Sometimes the client wants to see it. Sometimes I need it to protect my interests. It all depends on the situation.
Are you going to keep asking?
I say to Chloe.
You know I can't show you the footage. Not without the client's permission. Yeah, but you never let me ask the clients,
she says, pouting dramatically.
Don't do that. It doesn't suit you,
I say.
And I don't let you ask the clients because it would be inappropriate. Well, you gotta give me something,
she says.
Hello?
A man's voice calls from the front room.
Hello, Mr. Rader?
I stand up and walk around the desk, opening the door to my office.
Mr. Morrison, please come in,
I say, standing aside.
We were just finishing our lunch.
Morrison smiles widely when he sees me. He comes right up and grabs my hand.
My God, man,
he says, pumping my hand.
That was the most thrilling experience I've ever had. It was terrifying,
I ask. Morrison laughs.
Yes, certainly, but also freeing. I haven't felt alive like that since I don't know when. Well, good,
I say to him.
I'm glad you enjoyed the murder experience. We work very hard to offer something no one else does.
I usher him into the office. Chloe stands with her hands clasped behind her, waiting.
Hello, Mr. Morrison,
she says, taking his elbow and leading him to the seat she just vacated. I sit behind the desk, my back to windows revealing a forest of skyscrapers and the seemingly endless cityscape. The rain has passed, but a thin layer of clouds makes the sunlight watery and weak. Chloe sits in the other seat and winks at me. I glare at her for a moment before turning to Morrison.
So, what can I do for you?
I ask him.
I'm glad you enjoyed your experience, but you must be here for a reason.
The 70-year-old man is still beaming.
Well, I just wanted to come down here in person and tell you how pleased I was. I woke up this morning feeling better than I have in years. It's just amazing, young man. Amazing. You're brilliant, you know that? How did you get into the building, if you don't mind me asking? I saw the hole you drilled in the dining room window. I guess it wouldn't be too hard from there to unlock the window, eh?
Leaning back in my seat, I smile at him.
I'm afraid I can't share the secrets of the trade, Mr. Morrison. Yes, of course,
he says.
Well, I hope you don't mind if I tell some of my friends about your service. Not at all,
I say.
But we are booked up for the next several months. Just tell them to keep that in mind. By God, you could scale this service up,
Morrison says.
You could have 12 men like you doing this. All it would take is some training.
A lot of training, I think, but don't say. Instead, I nod.
I've considered it, yes,
I tell him.
We'll see what the future brings. Well, it was wonderful, just wonderful. But I wonder, could I get the footage? I would like to see what I looked like while you did your work. Certainly,
I say.
That's included in the price. As soon as we receive the rest of the payment, I will send the footage over on a portable hard drive by courier. How does that sound? Wonderful,
Morrison says again.
I'll be happy to pay the rest right now. Very good,
I tell him.
Chloe will take care of that for you.
Chloe smiles.
Mr. Morrison, could I be so bold as to ask you a question? Of course, young lady. What is it?
Morrison says. I glare at Chloe. Again, she winks at me before turning her full attention back to Morrison.
Would you mind if I looked at that footage before we send it on over? I'm just so curious about how the boss works, you know? Well, I don't suppose I mind, as long as it doesn't get leaked on the internet. I have a reputation to uphold,
he says.
Oh, thank you so much,
Chloe says, reaching across and clasping Morrison's hands in her own. The two of them get up and head to the outer office. Shaking my head, I power up my computer and resume my research for the next job. After about 10 minutes, Morrison pokes his head in to say goodbye. After he's gone, Chloe struts back into my office, smiling.
You do that again, you might be out of a job,
I tell her.
Uh-huh,
She says, clearly not believing me. She comes around my desk and pushes me back in my chair, giving her enough room to sit on my lap.
Unless there's another surprise visitor, we have an hour before your next appointment. I thought we were done with this,
I say, smelling her tasteful perfume as she looks down at me, our faces inches apart.
Isn't that what you said? It is what I said, but I've changed my mind. Again?
I say.
You've changed your mind again.
She nods, smiles, then leans down to kiss me. What can I say? I've been known to change my mind a time or two. I can't hold it against her. The next hour passes too quickly. The cocktail I use on people is a special blend that paralyzes without numbing. It also helps to increase fear, making the whole experience as close to actual murder as possible. Of course, I don't actually injure these people. After I've given them the cocktail and allowed several minutes to pass as the drugs take effect, I use weapons, mostly knives, designed by a specials effects company. Using these realistic-looking knives and packages of fake blood, I'm able to trick my clients into thinking they're dying. They see a retractable knife plunge into their chest and the blood gathering around the wound, and they think they've actually been stabbed. It's a terrifying experience for them. As a finale, I give them another shot that knocks them out, which simulates the loss of consciousness that happens during death. Then they wake up a few hours later, elated and enjoying a new lease on life. Or at least, that's the idea. I've had a couple of clients who didn't end up seeing things that way. They didn't like the experience at all, and they weren't afraid to tell me about it. But this is why I make them sign a bunch of paperwork drafted by a lawyer. The cameras I wear aren't just for allowing the client to see the experience from the other side, but also to cover my ass. If something goes wrong and the client attacks me or wants to claim later that I did something inappropriate, I have it all recorded. Plus, I tell them that they can always call my office and cancel. The only time they can't cancel is when I'm already in their house. At that point, the fear is part of the experience. People will generally say no and stop and don't. But if they haven't called to cancel before then, I keep going. Avoiding the people who won't enjoy the experience is a matter of personality tests and interviews, performed by Chloe. But even then, some people slip through. People who may think they want the experience, but who actually end up feeling like they've been violated, even though they asked for it and paid good money to get it. It's just part of the business. And I have a good lawyer who handles the occasional lawsuit from a disturbed client. All in all, it's a pretty lucrative business. And after I wrap up my afternoon meeting with a new client, I allow Chloe to watch the video from Mr. Morrison last night at her desk using headphones. While she does that, I focus on my research for the next clients in the pipeline. When she's done, she comes into my office and sits in front of my desk.
Teach me,
she says.
I want to do what you do.
I shake my head, still focusing on my computer screen.
No, you don't. It's very different when you're actually doing it. Sometimes, it feels like I'm actually killing someone. Not a great feeling. Yeah, but you've actually killed people before, right?
She asks.
In the military?
I don't answer. I'm not getting into this.
I'll think about it,
I tell her, just to get her off my back.
You better,
she says, heading back out to her desk. The hours pass as we work. When Chloe isn't conducting initial interviews, setting up meetings, or answering emails and phone calls, she does some basic research for me, allowing me to deep dive into things like how I'm going to get into someone's house or apartment. But as the sun goes down, the time comes for me to get out into the world to do the real work. The clients never know when I'm going to come for them. I give them a 2-month window, which allows me to strike when I want. So I'm able to juggle a few clients at once. Last night, before setting up to watch Morrison, I was at another client's house for a couple of hours. 2 clients to be exact. It's a couple's job, a man and his wife. I charge double for couples jobs because they take a little more finesse. And as I was watching them last night, I knew they were letting their guard down, which is when I strike. So as I head out of the office, I mentally prepare myself for the possibility of going into their house tonight. I'll make the judgment call when I get there.
Can I come with?
Chloe asks as I'm heading out.
I said I'll think about it.
I tell her, walking out the door. It would be nice to have someone else to do the stakeouts. I could actually take a vacation someday. As I take the elevator down to the parking garage, I consider teaching Chloe my skills. It would be fun. I like being around her. We make a good team as it is, but it would also mean hiring another assistant. And that sounds like a pain in the ass. Still, it's something to think about. The Bermans live in the suburbs outside the city. By the time I fight my way through traffic, park somewhere I won't get towed, and get all my gear together in the back of my van, it's nearing 8 o'clock. Dressed in jogging gear, I leave the van and head toward their massive house. I'm wearing a stuffed backpack that could look strange to the average passerby, but it's better than walking down the street in full black gear. That's a good way to get the cops called, especially in this fancy neighborhood. I make it to the wall surrounding the Berman property and pretend I'm pausing to stretch as I look around for witnesses. When the coast is clear, I jump up, grab the top of the wall, and pull myself quickly up, landing behind some bushes in the yard. I wonder if Chloe could lift herself up like that. I know she hits the gym, but I'm not sure how much effort she puts into upper body strength. This job requires a lot of it. Still, there's always a different way to do things. More than one way to skin a cat, as some sick bastard once said. Using the bushes as cover, I pull my gear on and get my digital recording binoculars out. The house is a Georgian-style mansion with big white pillars at the front and plenty of windows on all sides. It's essentially a big 3-story rectangle with white tan trim. I'm looking at it side on, which is where the master bedroom is. To my right, in the backyard, is an in-ground heated pool and attached hot tub. There's a patio between the pool and the house, complete with an outdoor kitchen. Weather-resistant televisions are attached here and there under the patio awnings so they can be seen from the pool, the seating area, or the kitchen. The yard is complete with lush grass. Trees and bushes border the stone wall around the property at certain spots. I'm using one of these perfectly landscaped areas for cover. There's no movement that I can see yet. The couple, who are both in their 50s, usually goes to bed around 9. The shades on the 2 master bedroom windows I can see are still open. The man of the house, Charles Berman, usually closes them when it's time for bed. There's a dim light on in the room, but I can't see if anyone's in there, not from this angle. I sit and wait as time ticks by. I look at my watch. It's 14 past 9. I still haven't seen any movement from inside the house. No lights being turned on or off. No silhouettes at the windows. Maybe they're away for the night? They didn't have anything in their digital calendars, both of which I hacked into shortly after accepting them as clients. I decide to wait until 10. If I don't see any movement, I'll leave and come back tomorrow. It has only been a month since they signed the contract. I still have another month before they can ask for their money back if I don't deliver, minus the non-refundable deposit. Luckily, waiting doesn't bother me. That's something I learned to do well in the military. Hurry up and wait. That was half the job. But around 9:30, I see a silhouette cross one of the bedroom windows. A man's silhouette. The dim light that's been on in the bedroom since I arrived goes off shortly after. The room is now dark. They didn't close the shades, which is strange. I take it as a sign that their guard is down. Might as well get this over with tonight. After waiting for another half hour, I creep toward the house, staying in the blind spot between their back and side security cameras. It's much easier to get into the Berman house than it was to get into Morrison's. I don't have to hang several hundred feet up in the air while I drill a hole in a downstairs window pane. It's a nice change of pace. I step into the house and shut the window behind me. Just as I did at Morrison's place, I listen hard. There's nothing, no movement. But something's bothering me. The house feels empty. There's a difference between quiet and empty. It's one I've gotten to know over the years. Then again, it's a huge place. I shrug it off and move through the rooms, finding the stairs. Reaching the bedroom, I pause and listen. I don't hear any breathing, which is strange. The door is closed, and I know I saw someone pass the window earlier. I ready the 2 syringes I've prepared for the job, one for each of them. Then I open the door and step inside. Through the gloom, I can see their shapes in the bed, the comforter pulled up to their chins. Time to go to work. Holding one of the syringes in my mouth, I move swiftly up to the bed, placing my hand over Mr. Berman's mouth.
Shit!
I say, dropping the syringe out of my mouth and pulling my hand away. Even through the glove, I can tell he's cold, his skin sallow.
What the hell?
I look at his wife. She looks the same, pale, lifeless. Grabbing the corner of the comforter, I whip it off to reveal blood-stained sheets. Their throats have been cut. The sheets are drenched in blood, and it still looks wet. This happened recently. I back away from the bed, trying to get my thoughts together. Then I hear the sirens approaching the house. There's no doubt in my mind it's the police, and they're coming here. It can't be a coincidence. Someone has killed these 2 people just to set me up. An arm suddenly snakes around from behind me. A gloved hand clamps over my mouth just before I feel the prick of a needle at my neck. My heart is pumping so hard, it's mere seconds before whatever I've just been drugged with reaches my brain in sufficient quantities to put me into a stupor. My legs feel like wet noodles. My vision goes fuzzy. The sirens are growing louder. The person behind me guides me to the floor as I collapse on unstable legs. I look up into a masked face, and for a moment, I think I'm looking into a mirror. I can see the man's eyes, although it's too dark to see their true color. Still, I can tell that they're turned up at the sides, as if he's smiling. His teeth show through the mouth hole of the ski mask. He keeps grinning as he stands up and kicks me once in the ribs, sending pain shooting through me. Despair mixes with pain as consciousness is ripped away from me, plunging me into a pit of terrifying darkness before all sense leaves me with a deafening rush. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy these stories, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and check out some more of my episodes here.